Hey everybody, it's Ken Kmet, CondoVoice.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I wanted to talk about problem solving. And when you've got repairs that need to be done on your properties, they're not always the same. In fact, they are never the same. There's always something with a repair that you got to figure out. So it's going to take a trip to the property. You're going to have to really inspect it well, go back to the office, come up with a design. You're going to need to know what type of equipment you're going to need to do this repair. There's a lot of things that go into problem solving. You have to be resourceful. So what I have here today is I have a railing that's gotten loose. This is an ADA handicap ramp rail, okay, behind me. And so it's been anchored into the concrete surface here with anchoring cement. And as you can see, there's a 4x4 here. All right, so once that anchoring cement becomes loose, once somebody puts too much weight on this, in fact, a car may have backed into it or something, it's gonna break that bond between the wood and the concrete. So that can withstand a little bit of jarring, but not a lot. So apparently this is just reached the point of no return. So what are we gonna do? Stay tuned. I'll tell you what we decided to do. Okay, here's what we decided to do. First, you have to think about what your alternatives are. What's your options here? Okay, the options are, the simple thing, the obvious thing is to remove the entire railing, okay? Excavate all the old anchoring cement, clean that cord hole in the concrete thoroughly, reset the rail, pour in new anchoring cement, make sure the wood is okay. The only problem is the wood may not be okay. The wood that's down into the concrete may have deteriorated, and so we're not sure what the strength of that wood's gonna be. So what you have is the strength of this rail right now in and of itself is fine. The only problem is the strength of it bonded to the surface that it's anchored into is not. So thinking about that big project, and it would be a big expensive project to remove this rail, redo the whole thing, okay, it can be done. Even if we had to, we could take this railing apart and replace the post, repaint the post, put it all back together. That's all doable, but that's expensive. Now, how do we economically get from point A to point B? Point B is a steady rail again, steady enough that's gonna last, you know, long enough for this repair to be worth the time that we're spending on it. All right, so what we decided to do here is go to brackets. Okay, so we got these brackets here, and we're gonna go ahead and mount them accordingly. Now, we kind of got lucky here. Again, every repair has its own specifics, where the difference between the parking lot down here and the ramp is about 6 inches. So we've got a way to do one horizontally, and we're gonna do it vertically like this. So we're gonna go down into the bottom surface of the parking lot, and then we're gonna connect another one into the side surface of the ramp. And that's gonna give us two-way conformation here. We're even gonna put a third one into the other corner of the ramp. So we're gonna have 3 brackets on this terminating post here, and then we're gonna go ahead and put some more brackets on a secondary post. Now at the other end of this rail, it's pretty solid still, so we won't have to do that. The other concern we had here, and this is part of the being resourceful part, you don't want to create a trip and fall hazard by doing a repair or adding on to an existing system. So this thickness of this bracket right here is not great enough to cause a trip and a fall hazard. Why? Because generally insurance companies are looking for 1/4 inch to 1/2 to 3/4 difference in elevation, whether that's a sidewalk being displaced or you're adding something to an existing surface. In this case also, we're gonna go right up against the curb in both sides. So this isn't gonna be sticking out into a traffic area where there's pedestrian traffic or car traffic. So this isn't gonna create a hazard by doing this. So when you do a repair, make sure you're not increasing the hazard to your property. You gotta think through these things. This isn't just some simple thing, oh, you know what, I got an idea, I'll just try this. And then you realize after you've done the repair that you just caused more problems, all right? Either it didn't work properly, it's not gonna hold up, or you're gonna create a hazard. So don't do that. So part of problem solving is thinking through the whole process, even after you're done. So how much is this gonna rust? Is this the appropriate material for this application? This particular bracket is zinc coated, it's not stainless. because we're not near the coast. We're not going to get accelerated corrosion. And in fact, I can coat this or paint this because these are going to have to get painted anyway. So I can protect these surfaces so they don't rust, they don't become unsightly, or they don't fail. These are thick enough also. Don't buy the cheap thin ones, so that if there is a little bit of corrosion, we can just paint it or something. It's not going to affect the structural integrity of this bracket. And it's going to give me a long-lasting repair. That's the other thing. Why do something where it's going to last a month? You're just going to be paying bad money after bad money. Don't do that. Stop. Think about your tools you're going to need. We're going to need an impact driver. We're going to need a drill. We are also going to need a, in this particular case, I've got a hammer drill. So I can use the proper bits to do this. Also in this application, I'm going to need an extended bit. So I've got my Bosch Bulldog driver hammer drill. So we're going to use that too. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff here. And then of course, got my Tapcons. Now in this case, we're going to use regular Tapcons. In another application near the coast where there's corrosion, I may want to use a stainless Tapcon. But in this case, we're inland, so we're going to go with the regular Tapcons. And that's it. So, and two, what we're going to do is we're going to level up our posts before we set our brackets, so that when we do set this thing, it's going to be straight, plumb, and level. So we're going to have an excellent repair. That's the other thing. Think through these things. You know, it took me an hour to gather the equipment and tools and the screws and everything, the brackets and everything that I'm going to need. It takes time to prep before you even get to the property to do a proper repair. Because the last thing you want to do is show up on a job and go, you know what, we forgot something, dang it. So you got to run to the hardware store again. That takes time, and nobody wants that. So take your time, think through your problem, come up with a good solution you know that's going to work. Know you have the equipment to do it, know you can get the supplies to do it. These days, supply chain issues, you got to make sure you can get, you got to make sure your hardware store has your Tapcons and the right size Tapcons that you need, or whatever it is else you're going to be working with. So we're going to go ahead and do this repair now, but I just wanted to share this with you because these days you have these unique problems that happens on properties. And as properties age, every time you walk up to a property, what are you dealing with? You don't know. Corrosion, interior moisture damage. Here's an exterior railing. You got to have people that are resourceful in your camp, okay? As a resource, you can call or you just do it yourself. All right, so stay tuned. We'll show you a few more pictures on how we're going to do this. Thanks for watching. So in the industry, we call this a Bulldog. In this case, it's a Bosch hammer drill. And what it is, it has a couple different settings. So it can either be a drill, or it can be a, you toggle it to the hammer part, okay, that you can use a chisel on, or you can set it in the middle. In this case, we got to set our bracket on the concrete. And in order to do that, we got some uneven concrete there. We got some high areas. So we got to chisel those down so we have a flat surface, so we get a solid bond to the concrete like this. Okay, so I'm going to show you the three modes of this Bulldog. Okay, this is just drill. This is drill and hammer. And this is just hammer. That's the way it works. Pretty simple. It's a great tool to have. And I'll show you the surface here. So we got it nice and smooth. Okay. So when we set our bracket, going to be able to be, we got a flat surface on the top, and then we got a flat surface here, and that's really what we want. Okay, so I want to show you something here that I figured out on my own. Kind of cool. So we've got intersection of three surfaces. The bottom, we got a side ramp, and we got the side sidewalk right here. I'll show you. So what I want to do is I want to put one on the bottom like that. Okay, then I want to come in here and I want to put one here on the side of the ramp, all right? But I also want to put one here. Since I've got this surface to anchor to, why not, right? Well, how do I do that? Well, here's the way I'm going to do that. I'm going to make sure that these intersect in a way that that'll work. The only way that's going to work is I line up these two holes right here. This center hole in this bracket. Okay, I'm going to pull this off. Okay, with one hand and do the camera at the same time. I'm going to show you. So I'm going to line up these two holes. All right. I know this isn't rocket science, but it really will enhance this bond. It'll give me 3 surfaces connection because there's a lot of weight on this post. People that come here that are handicapped, they put all their weight. They put all their weight on this bar here, which is also loose. Let me show you. And I can show you what I mean. Doing this by myself. So this bar right here is hanging loose. Okay, let me show you from this side. All right, see this bar? It's just off. Okay, so I got to fix that too, but I know because I actually built this rail. I built it and installed it like 15 years ago, and it's held up for a long time. So anyway, I know how to fix that rail. So we're going to just reattach the handrail so when handicapped people put their full weight on it, it's going to be secure. And that's the problem here. I got to make sure, I got to do everything I can with this repair to make sure this is going to be a long-lasting, solid repair. And I believe this is going to work because we're also going to do the other posts too, or at least a couple more of them. All right, that went really good. Actually better than I thought. So we've got our brackets nice and level and horizontal with each other. So it looks like we gave it some thought. And there's still enough room for me to insert my other bracket, which is a little bit smaller right here. So right on top of these. So that's gonna be quite a secure setting right there. And if I have to, I may have to cut off this bracket right here, but we'll see. I may not have to do that. Also, what I'm going to have to do is drill new holes right here. Let's see if I get my camera right. I'm going to have to drill new holes right here, right here. I may have to cut that off, you know, to modify this bracket so that it's right. All right, so I'm going to show you something here. So the Bulldog that I'm using requires what's called an SDS bit. That's this special grip. This is a Tapcon extended SDS bit. This is for 3/16. So actually this is for a quarter screw. Okay, so I'm going to use these kind of Tapcons going in the side and the surface. This is a standard bit, okay, that I would use with a drill like this. All right, so obviously the end of it like that is pretty simple. This one a little better. I just wanted to show you that in case you've never used an NES drill bit before, just to show you that's how it inserts in. And what you do is you just depress this like this and the bit comes out. You want to put it in, it just slides in. It's pretty easy. So I'm just going to exchange the bit here. Get this one in there. And I'm going to do one to make sure I got the right size bit for the right size Tapcon, just to be sure. And I'm going to use my drill and toggle setting to do this. So you can see where my dust line is. I want to make sure I'm past the depth of my screw. And in this case, I went way past. This is an old piece of tape we used on a previous job. A trick is just go ahead. They've got tools that attach to these that you can set your depth so you can always have the same depth. But this one here, we just put tape on it. It accomplishes the same. All right, so in this case, my planning has paid off. I got the right bit size, I got the right Tapcon, I got the right depth. You know, you want to be at least 1.5 inches to 2 inches into the substrate or the surface you're going into. I've got a 1.75 inch screw here, so I'm good. So that tightened up really well. The fact that I chiseled that off and made it nice and flat worked out good. This is real tight against my other surface here, so I'm going to drill some additional holes now and set these brackets. It's going to work out great. And I forgot to tell you, I went ahead and plumbed this, and it's perfect. one thing I wanted to say was make sure your drill is level, okay? A lot of people are going at an angle or something like that, so when you're going to set your screw, it's either not going to bite well enough, or it's just the head's going to stick out and not sit into the bracket hole. The other thing you want to do is let the drill do the work. Don't force it. These bits are designed, the hammer part of this, the shaky part of it, is designed to agitate the surface inside the hole and do the cutting for you. Let the drill do the work and the bit. You see what it did just there? It hiccups. Well, it hiccups when it meets a bigger resistance, and the drill is doing that. It's designed to do that. So I can do this sideways without putting a whole lot of pressure behind it, and it's going great. I just have to let it take its time and drill it properly. Another thing I wanted to say, hey there, so I've got two drills. Got my impact driver, and that's great, but I got my regular drill with the toggle and the hammer. What I want to do is set my Tapcons with my regular drill, not my impact, okay? Because the impact may not be sensitive enough to torque your Tapcon into the concrete, and what you don't want is to strip the hole. You don't want the screw to have too much force, okay, which sometimes these impact drivers can do. And so what I want to do is gently snug this screw into there and don't over tighten it, okay? Once I reach, and every drill has a clutch on it. So as a clutch, it's got these settings, okay? It's got numbers on them. So right now, okay, I got it on 4. What I want to do is probably going to be about 10, maybe actually 8 on this one, because I want to set this screw, but I don't want to over tighten it. And that's what this clutch is for, so you don't strip out screws. So especially when it comes to Tapcons, because wood is one thing, it's more pliable. Concrete is rigid. Once you've removed it, it's gone. And that hole becomes bigger, and this screw will never set right if you're not careful when you set the torque on your Tapcons in concrete. All right, I'm glad that happened. I'm going to show you what happened here. So I drilled my bit past the depth I needed, but there was an accumulation of dust in the hole. All right, so I'm going to just run this through one more time. So most of the time when I blow this area out, it'll blow that dust out. In this case, I don't think it did, because the screw got into a certain depth and then it stopped. Again, I would have stripped it. Either the head would have stripped or the threads would have stripped if I continued with too much force on this, trying to force it. I don't want to force it. I want to make sure it sits right. Even that, for some reason, it's not working. So I'm going to ream this hole out a little bit more. Not sure if you noticed, but you could see a little bit more of that dust being backed out of the hole. Let's see if this worked this time. Still is not working the way I want to. So we're going to give this a little bit more power. Frankly, I don't know why this is doing this, because that screw, same bit, same hole, same everything, went in sweet, as you saw. This one's not going in as well. What'll happen is you might have to waste a screw or two, because this top part will get stripped out if you're not careful. All right, see how that went in sweet? That's what I want. That is good and tight. All right, so let's see if the others are going as well. Yep, now that went in great. There might have been like a rock in that one. Because you see, concrete has rocks in it. See the aggregate? It's called aggregate. And if you drill a hole and you've got a rock in there, that rock's a lot harder than the cement paste. So what'll happen is your screw knows that, it hits that, so you've got to ream it out a little bit more sometimes with your drill bit. It's just a random thing. Okay, that one's doing the same thing. You just got to rim it out a little bit more. Give you another tip here too, whether it's worth it or not. Buy high quality drill bits. This drill bit is allowing me to bend it. A lot of the cheaper drill bits will not let you do that. And in a tough spot, you're gonna want that, trust me. You get these, if you buy one drill bit and it breaks, your job is done until you get another one. Oh yeah, that was sweet. That is rocket Gibraltar there. All right, we're gonna set our other screws. Any good maintenance man will tell you he doesn't like anybody watching over their shoulder, watching them do their work. But I don't mind. All right, that grabbed so sweet. Already we're getting better here, a lot better on our rail. So now we had to drill our holes in the bracket so we can get some more support for the wood part. Oh yeah, getting better. We do need that other bracket though. Just want to show you what happens to your bit when you're having a hard time setting your screws. You get shavings on it. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. I'm trying to go too close maybe. You see those silver things on the tip? That's the steel from your screws. It just comes right off, see? So, it's on my finger. Anyway, a little bit of that's gonna happen, but you don't want a lot of it. Because remember, as you're setting a screw, you're shaving the impression of the screw of what your bit is grabbing onto one way. So if you do feel it start to strip, just stop. The other way, your grooves are gonna fit 90 degrees. So it'll back out a lot easier from that point. Just put a lot of pressure on it, make sure it comes out. If it gets stuck in there without being fully set, that's a whole other problem. But just waste the screw, go to a new screw, ream it out again, and reset the screw. Make sure it goes flush into your bracket. Okay, well, we're done with the initial set. I gotta tell you something. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. That's a design I'm proud of. That's a repair that's gonna last. I'm gonna pretty this up a little bit by cutting off the tips so that I don't know, it just looks better and nobody can catch a clothing or a foot or anything on that. And we're gonna be good to go. This is a Sawzall, a heavy duty Milwaukee. Got a torch blade with a metal bit on it. That's what's needed here. Hey guys, I'm gonna confess here. Did you ever hear confession's good for the soul? Well, all that preaching, and guess what I just did? I just busted off a head of this Tapcon. I'm gonna show you. See how it sheared right off? Well, I was trying to finish up this job. We put a couple more brackets on here. You see this one over here? There you go. And I'm putting the third one on here just to give this rail, these intermediate posts, some additional support. And I was going too fast, and I torqued my drill too hard, and I snapped the head of that Tapcon off. So now what I have to do, camera down angle. All right, I have to drill another hole, which I just did in this plate next to the head that broke off, because there's no bond there. And this being a commercial property, we do not want to do a repair that somebody later could go back and say, oh, look, you had one tiny little flaw in that repair and that's why this rail failed or whatever. So we don't want to leave any doubt. We want to do a quality repair, so I'm just going to add another Tapcon right next to the head that broke off, and then I'm covered as far as having 3. These brackets are engineered, okay? And a lot of thought has gone into this simple bracket. So the thinking is 3 screws on top, 3 screws on the bottom. That's a proper, legitimate, cover your tail insurance bond between this post and that concrete. It's an additional add-on support. And it wouldn't be if I didn't fill in the last hole. So I got to make another hole, put it right next to it. That'll suffice, and put in our last Tapcon. So I just wanted to show you that's what can happen, especially, and it always happens when you're rushing or you're not thinking through something. Okay, we're done with our repair. Just wanted to show you the final version of it. Insert a picture right here. That's what the thing looks like. And I'll tell you what, this is one solid rail. I'm going to turn the phone around and show you. All right, here we go. Here's the shake test. Yeah, baby. Look at that down there. Not budging a bit. So, what I want to illustrate is this, that the blower's blowing behind me. The guys are cleaning up the property. That we've just now changed the bond or the strength of this post from set in an anchor cement to the brackets themselves. Now the brackets are carrying the load. Okay, and this is a kind of a repair that you can substitute other brackets and other materials for, but the point is, what's carrying the load? It used to be the anchoring cement to the wood. So when the wood deteriorates, and it will, okay, that bond is going to get weak, and that's what's going to happen. Someone's going to push on it, and you're going to have this. Now, like I said, every repair is different, so you got to look at it and say, well, what failed here? What got weak? Why? So once you figure out the why, you go, okay, I just need to change what was supporting this post from the anchoring cement, which now I don't even care if it's there. It doesn't even matter. Now I just want to make sure my brackets are secure to the concrete sides and bottom, and also to the post, and we're good to go. Thanks for watching this repair solution from condovoice.com. You all have a great day.